Darkcast Network. Come to the dark side of podcasts. We have cookies.
Cookies? Me love cookies.
Do you hate getting stuck in rush hour traffic?
Do you find yourself dozing off trying to get home?
Do you start daydreaming about the paranormal and forget you're sitting behind the wheel?
If the answer is yes, then don't wait another minute. Tune into the Paranormal Peeps podcast.
We are ready to entertain you.
On his way, devil is on his way, devil is on his way, motherfucker, the devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees, devil is on his way, fall to your knees, devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees, devil is on his way.
Mountain Murders is an Appalachian true crime podcast. Some content may not be suitable for all listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
We say fuck a lot. Hey, y'all, welcome back to Mountain Murders. I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
Hey, you.
Hey, Heather.
How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great.
Wonderful.
Wonderful. Is that, yeah, I'm doing really good. I'm doing really well.
You're fantastic.
I am fan-fucking-tastic.
Man, I'm sweating.
Ooh.
It's hot.
Nellie told us about this.
Look.
Nellie warned us about this.
I bought a cheesy above ground pool, and when I say that, I'm not insulting above ground pools, but I got one of those like semi inflatable, and it has a pump, but it's cheesy. I mean, it's not like a nice above ground pool.
Look, I gotta say the best part of that pool system is the pump. It's actually a decent little pump.
Well, if I had a flat place to put the pool, I think we would be in business, but I don't, and I've twice tried to put the pool up, and it just keeps failing on me.
Well, see, here's one of these situations where you're not listening to me.
Well,
I'm the worker man.
Here's the problem,
and you don't like doing.
You won't get up to help me.
Whoa!
When I say, "Can you help me with this?" you say, "Yes, I will," and then you do other things, and then I have to do it myself because you fail me.
Well, look, before you continue to attack me, even when I was actively working the pad.
Oh, you mean like a week ago?
Prepping the area. You were rushing. You were rushing.
I was not.
You were.
How did I rush you?
Because I knew we needed more on.
But did you say let's go get some more dirt?
Wow, we had more here.
You didn't tell me that.
I knew that we needed more. It was going to compress down.
You didn't.
Yeah.
Yet you didn't step up and say this or put it down, did you?
Wait. What?
No, you've waited a week until it failed, right? And
I knew it was going to fail.
And then today, I'm like, I want to do this. Oh, yeah, I'm going to help you. And then you wouldn't get up from your nap.
Oh.
Thank you for that. You
Sorry,
slept
I dropped something.
Yeah, you always dropping something. Always making noise on the podcast.
No, whoa. You're making this
Bottom line is, I want to get in some water because I'm hot as hell.
Well, I knew
you're not helping, and now I'm just mad at you because it's your fault.
Now this nap she's outlining, making it sound like I'm a man of leisure.
You are a man of
leisure. Was me sleeping after I worked 12 hours overnight, so that was my nap.
Well, it's
quote
because
unquote.
You didn't take a nap before you went into work like you're supposed to.
No, this is because I didn't go to college and learn how to read, and that's why I had to work some crazy hour blue collar job. Anywho.
Well, I'm sorry you can't read.
I'm sorry.
You should try to remedy that. Have you been to the public library?
No? Is that near the library?
They may have a literacy program for you, Dylan.
All right.
They do a little story time for the kids.
I love opening with you attacking me. So, anyway.
Look, I just want to get in some water. It is so hot, and I'm miserable. I guess I'm spending the entire summer indoors because I can't be in the heat. I just can't.
I feel for
melting.
You, and I know that all you want to do is float.
So thank you for participating in my ability to do that. Not.
You'll have to leave. If you'll leave me be, I will prep your pad cut properly, and I'll do that soon. I promise. Isn't that right, Rufus?
See, You're a damn lie.
All right, I'm sometimes I am a damn lie.
You lie all the time.
So besides being sweaty and sticky, Heather, other than that, what's going on?
I'm just miserable because it's hot. That's
Yeah.
about it.
Hey, can I say?
My balls are sticking to my leg, and I don't even have balls.
But they're stuck.
Somebody needs to give me a spatula so I can just separate my balls that are stuck to my leg.
I want to give a shout out to Discord Allison because I was just reminded how hard kids are over the weekend. I had a 4 and a 1-year-old on my skirt, and I gotta say, I don't know if I got it in me anymore.
It's exhausting.
I love them to death. I do, but they have me on the ropes. It's like I can't. I try hard as I can, but okay, I'm gonna be serious about this, right? You got to be, dad mode, parent mode, whatever, granddad mode, whatever you want to call it. And man, them kids, they get me. They get me.
They got me.
They got me. So shout out to Allison. She's doing it day in, day out.
You were working for a little bit, and I was here with them, and I had Rufus barking. I had 2 kittens, tiny kittens that we have, running around, jumping, leaping, terrorizing everyone.
Yeah.
I have the baby, the 1-year-old, crawling around, trying to grab the kitten's tail.
She's gonna kill the kittens.
Trying to keep her from killing the kittens while they're like leaping around the room, climbing up the curtains. And then the 5-year-old is asking me, why? What are you doing? Why? On repeat.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to make some breakfast. It's not helping.
She's trying to have a glass of coffee, folks.
I'm like, is there a box of wine somewhere in the house?
Hey, that's what
I see.
No, look,
I can't.
I'm glad you mentioned wine.
I'm too old,
because I needed wine, okay? I needed wine the whole time. So I understand about the wine. A lot of parents enjoy a glass of wine.
Hats off to parents of small children who are doing the damn thing.
Gosh, man.
Just talking about it has exhausted me.
See, I'm tired now.
I need to go take a nap.
Let's get off that subject. We love you, Allison.
All right, let's give a big shout out to Beth, our brand new patron. She is sponsoring today's show. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Beth.
All right, Dylan.
Thank you so much.
Are we ready to get into the podcast, or do you want to share with the listeners? Our folks out there, you know how much we love just a good old trashy story. We love it.
This might be too trashy, Heather.
No, someone shared with us a trashy story, and it is so Jerry Springer juicy. I think we must share it, Dylan. Can we share it? Can we talk about it?
Let's talk about it. I don't know. It may bust the internet.
Okay, we know someone. And she was saying that her baby daddy, they are no longer together. Okay? He has a sister that happens to be this girl's friend. They were once best friends, right?
Right.
The sister, we'll call her Molly. I'm just making up names here. So Molly is Bert's sister.
Bert and Molly?
Bert and Molly. So Bert is the baby daddy. We'll call him Bert.
No, let's call him Dumbass.
Bert and Molly. Okay. So Molly is a lesbian and has a girlfriend. Now Molly's what, 21?
Right. Yeah, she's right there at it if she's not.
Apparently Molly, the 21-year-old, is dating a 15-year-old girl.
Which is weird.
Which is super gross and illegal and should not stand.
No.
So I'm repulsed by this. Just the fact that she's dating a 15-year-old. What the fuck, right? So that's trash. Point number 1.
We're going to keep score.
Now, Molly and her 15-year-old girlfriend have decided they want to have a child together, which seems reasonable, right? That you would decide you want to have a baby with your baby, your 15-year-old baby girlfriend.
So yeah, you just want to bring a baby into this loving relationship.
You're dating a toddler. You need to have a baby.
Well, somebody she can connect with because it's a kid you're dating. Right?
So Molly.
I think you give 3 trash points on this so far.
So
that's 3. That's like a 3-pointer.
Trash point.
Oh, okay.
Molly and the 15-year-old toddler girlfriend have decided they want to have this baby. So they're asking Molly's brother Bert, who already has kids, and by the way, he's like a deadbeat.
He's a deadbeat, and he enjoys dating 15-year-olds as well.
So it must be a family affair.
And he's in his heading towards mid-20s.
Yeah, it's really disgusting.
Right, but he doesn't have a job or a car.
Is like, what the fuck?
He doesn't have a job or a car.
No.
So don't be expecting me to come pick the baby up.
Bert, they want Bert to be a sperm donor. And Bert's concern with this is not like, no, she's 15, and no, I'm not going to do this. You're my sister with your 15-year-old girlfriend. He's just concerned that if he follows through with this insemination, I don't know if it's going to be artificial or
It's not going to be in a lab. It's not going to be. It's going to be in a trailer. It's not going to be in a lab.
It could.
Okay?
It might be in a tent.
And that is nothing against people in trailers. I grew up in trailers,
It might be in a tent because I don't even think he has enough money to rent a trailer.
He doesn't have a trailer.
He doesn't have a trailer. Dylan.
Okay.
It's probably going to be in a tent. I would say in the backseat of his car, but he
doesn't have a
car either.
He had a flat one time, and he didn't go
so
back
his
and get the car.
concern is that he might end up, if they broke up, he would have to pay child support for that baby.
Right.
Not that he could go to jail for impregnating a 15-year-old.
Wait.
Or that's his sister's girlfriend.
He's afraid he'll have to pay child support to the kid for his nephew son.
Yes.
What the?
For his Nefson.
Nefson.
For his Nefson.
That's what they'll just name the kid Nefson. That's a pretty cool
So
name.
this trashy
actually.
story was told to us because we love a good trashy story.
That can't be
and
real.
if you have it,
is that real? I think it's real, folks.
I can't even believe it's something that's real.
It really is real. And here's the thing about it.
If you have a good trashy story, we love them. mountainmurderspodcast@gmail.com. You may remain anonymous. I will give you a fake name. You can be Elmira.
Yeah.
You could be Rod.
Roberta.
You could be Bill.
I want to be Rod.
You're not.
Rod Steele. You know what's up.
Your nickname's Shorty. You could be Bert. You could be Molly. You could be...
Oh my God.
Hildebrand. I don't care. You can make up a damn name. I'll name you. But we love to hear your trash stories.
Please start sending those in, folks. We'll do a new segment.
We could just do a whole trash story episode. Yes.
We'll call it Trash Talk.
Well, instead of just listener stories, we could do trash stories, or we could have a trash segment every episode where we tell a trashy story. I think that's brilliant, Dylan.
Trash Talk. I'm branding it now.
Okay.
So help us out, folks. And
okay, we've dilly-dallied enough.
Oh my God.
But we just had to discuss because my brain is like melted after
we had to
hearing
share
this
that
story.
We had to share that with you folks.
I don't want enough, son.
Yeah, and you know what? This is all because of Beth today. Thank you, Beth, for sponsoring today's episode.
And for sponsoring the Nefson.
Yeah, and the Nefson is going to be the name of today's episode. The title.
Oh my goodness.
All right.
Okay, we're here for true crime, Dylan. It's time to get into our true crime discussion. And guess what, Dylan? This case I found while researching last week's episode.
Dude.
And I felt like we needed to talk about it because it's a case that hasn't gotten a lot of attention. But
Okay.
it's an interesting story.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Well, that's why I'm here with headphones on.
Friday, April 3rd, 1987 was a crisp evening down in the 50s with a breeze, which is quite chilly for South Carolina's low country. Now in April, it's going to probably be like in the 80s with no breeze.
Hey.
Global warming doesn't exist.
No, it's not happening. It's not cyclical.
31-year-old Linda McCord invited her friend Sarah Boyd to attend a gospel concert in Walterboro. Boyd accepted the invitation, bringing along her 2-year-old daughter, Kimberly. Sarah had changed into a beige dress with a floral print, excited for an evening out with her bestie.
Well, you know what that's like, right? You and your bestie, you're going to go have fun. You maybe been planning it all week. You know,
Well, this doesn't sound like they've been planning it
You're
all week.
cutting it all-
It's kind of like last minute, but yeah.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying I always get stoked. You always get stoked when you're going out with bestie, you know, because you two are going to have fun, right?
Yeah.
You know what each other likes. You're going to laugh. You're going to make fun of people.
Well, probably not, Dylan. They're going to a gospel show.
What? I would make fun of people at the gospel show. Are you kidding
Well,
me?
yeah, but you're an asshole, not everyone else is.
Okay.
So I'm imagining if you're going to the gospel concert, you're probably not there to be a smart ass.
I'm like, God don't want to hear her sing and listen at her.
Jeez. This is why I can't take
That's
you
a
to church.
devil right there. Look.
This is why I can't take you to church. What is wrong with you?
She ain't right. All right.
They say she's an alto, but it just sounds to me like her damn hair's on fire.
Okay.
Must be hellfire.
See, this is what happens when we start out with trash talk.
Okay.
Okay.
So they're going out. It sounds like a great evening. They're going to listen to this gospel music. Sarah's really excited, puts on a pretty dress, getting a little dolled up to go out. Tiffany Boyd, Sarah's niece, recalled the moment they, meaning Sarah and her daughter Kimberly, walked out the door. She said, quote, "My grandmother picked up Kim and gave her a kiss and said, 'I'll see you tomorrow, boo. I'll see you tomorrow, boo.'" 32-year-old Sarah was an ambitious administrative assistant at Norman C. Toole Middle School, which I found out no longer exists.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
She loaded her daughter into Linda's blue 1977 Lincoln. The three traveled from Harleyville to the Hampton Street Auditorium in Walterboro. The Swanee Quartet of Augusta, Georgia would be singing, along with Slim and the Supreme Angels of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And this was a free concert. So it sounds like a good time.
Slim and the Supreme Angels? Sounds awesome.
You can't beat a free concert, right?
No.
According to news reports at the time, the three were spotted in Walterboro between 10:30 and 11 p.m. after the concert had ended. A preacher and his wife will later tell investigators they had passed the blue Lincoln car on Highway 15 in Dorchester County. This is the last known sighting. The witnesses noted another car was following behind, kind of close to the blue Lincoln.
So close enough that it kind of stood out.
Yeah, and they weren't sure if this secondary car was following this closely because they were purposefully following the car, or if they were just maybe caught up behind it.
Right. Trying to get her kind of on their ass, wanting to get around.
Yeah, and it made me think I saw a bumper sticker the other day that said, "Are you following Jesus this closely?"
Dude, that is a great bumper sticker.
2 days later, on April 5th of 1987, the blue Lincoln belonging to Linda's husband, John McCord, was located at Wells Crossroad. It's an intersection of kind of like between Highway 15 and Highway 176 in Orangeburg County in an area known as Holly Hill. The car was abandoned on the side of the road. From the beginning, the investigation was botched, Dylan. The Dorchester Sheriff's Department wanted to dust for prints inside the car, but by the time they arrived on the scene, the Lincoln had been moved. It had been towed to an auto repair shop.
What?
Lieutenant William Martin with the Orangeburg County Sheriff's Office was friends with John McCord. Now, he had seen John's car, kind of abandoned on the side of the road, and thought he would alert his friend and let him know, "Hey, I saw your car broken down on the side of the road." He thought he was doing a good deed.
And this, okay. So never thinking that something may have happened and this could possibly be a crime scene.
Right. So he contacted, his buddy like, "Hey, come pick up this car," not realizing it was a possible crime scene. Martin allowed McCord to take it to a repair shop where a mechanic determined the freezer plug had blown out, causing the engine to overheat on Friday night when the women were driving it. Most likely.
So the car did actually have something wrong
There
with
was
it.
a mechanical issue.
Okay.
By today's protocol, the investigation would have been different, admitted the Orangeburg County Sheriff Lee Ravenel. Nowadays, law enforcement does not touch or move anything until the crime scene is processed and evidence is removed. Dorchester County Sheriff Knight said he didn't think Martin was interfering with the case. Martin, he said, seemed straightforward and helpful and thought he was just doing McCord a favor, not knowing that these women were missing.
Right.
The location of the vehicle was strange. It was nearly 10 miles away from where the women should have turned off to return to Harleyville. And I'm not really familiar with this area, but it seems there was no reason for them to kind of be this far out of the way.
Yeah, if they're going back home from the little gospel show, there's no reason to go 10, 15 miles past your turn to go home because it's later in the evening. You know, what are you doing?
Sarah and Kimberly's family grew frantic when they didn't return from the concert. The whole family, including cousins, loaded up into pickup trucks. They had kids in the back. They began driving up and down the avenues, dirt roads, just hoping to see a sign of their loved ones. I mean, this is like a big family. So they got, brothers, sisters, aunts, uncles, cousins, just everybody searching for Sarah and Kimberly.
Yeah, and I think this is common when people go missing is you have the investigators working it, usually. But always you have friends and family working behind the scenes, going everywhere they can imagine they might be,
Well, this was 1987. So again, this is, we've talked about this before, pre-cell phone. You didn't, the only way you were able to speak to someone on a phone, you had to find a payphone.
Yeah, or
if you were broken down in the middle of nowhere, you either looked for a payphone or you had to walk, sometimes go to a stranger. Yeah, that was a cat. Go to a stranger's home and knock on the door.
Right.
Which is awkward, but probably even more awkward now because, hell, in the news now, you knock on somebody's door and they'll shoot you.
No, but you had to find help. Everybody in the car didn't have a phone in their pocket.
Or trust that some stranger who stops by and says, hey, you need a lift to the phone isn't some Ted Bundy, right? 3 weeks passed with the investigation into the 3 missing women flailing. With pressure from both families, law enforcement finally scheduled a search of the wooded area surrounding where the car was found on April 26th of 1987. Sarah Boyd's husband, Philip, had been expecting his wife and child to return late that evening, but they never appeared. He was helpful during the early days of the investigation, agreeing to take a lie detector test. He passed the test, but relatives will later note he had admitted to having an affair on the polygraph, and they were very disappointed by this news. John McCord had also cooperated with law enforcement, but refused to take a polygraph. He explained that previously he'd taken one, which had said he was guilty of a crime he didn't commit.
Oh. Well, a lot. We are Mount Murders wonders about the accuracy of polygraphs as well. But with him sharing that he did indeed have an affair, one could say, well, at least we think he's being honest, right? I mean, he's being forthcoming, truthful, even though this is not something he wants to talk about. You know what I mean? And this happens a lot, and sometimes when people are the investigators think they're hiding something, it's this very thing, an affair or extramarital affair of some sort, and it's not something they want to talk about.
Well, right, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's something nefarious,
and it doesn't make them guilty. But yes, exactly.
In the disappearance,
yes,
yeah. Linda Williams was born August 12th of 1954. Growing up, she was quite musical, learning to play clarinet. In high school, Linda was a majorette in Camden. She graduated from Claflin University, a historically black college in Orangeburg. After that, she went to work at Bilton Ford. While working, Linda met John McCord. The two married and were building a house on her mother's property, and her mother's name is Cicero Williams.
Wow.
And I thought Cicero was kind of a cool name, right?
That's awesome.
Different. In the meantime, John and Linda resided with Cicero. Yet family and friends didn't necessarily like John McCord. He seemed possessive, according to a cousin who never cared for his disposition. She said he was controlling of Linda, even scratching out the faces of her old dates in photographs, like prom pictures from high school or photos from college. He would look at the pictures and get upset and then scratch out her dates' faces, which seems odd when you're an adult person.
That's called a red flag, folks. That's very strange behavior, and it's scary behavior, okay? If I start dating someone and they're going through, and they have a issue with whoever I went to the 8th grade prom with, and talking about, and scratching it out like some shit you see in a damn thriller movie? No.
Yeah, I mean, these are people like in their mid-20s,
Yeah.
probably. Yeah, it's very odd. I'm not sure what that cat is doing.
Look, these cats are not good co-hosts. I'm
They
about to
are.
ban them from the studio.
I'm not sure why that cat is trying to climb the blinds.
Get with the program, kitty.
That's Poe. Poe, stop. Okay.
Rufus.
Their marriage was plagued by domestic violence. John allegedly assaulted Linda once at her mother's house, and another time, Linda showed up at a cousin's with a black eye. This is her cousin Debbie Boyd said Linda showed up and had a black eye. Linda told her family that John pulled clumps of her hair out at times and had held a gun to her head during an altercation.
This is terrible stuff.
This is very scary.
Yeah.
Dangerous. He sounds unhinged. Gwendolyn Boyd Bright, Linda's cousin, had told Linda to leave John, but she was scared. Gwendolyn told her to come to Greenville, South Carolina, where she knew law enforcement and could make sure the abuse stopped. But Linda refused to leave her husband, John, which happens sometimes in these situations.
Yeah, and it's hard. The family sees the person doing these things to their loved one, and they just want what's best for them. And but you can't. You also can you can advise people, but you can't make them do what you want. You know what I mean? It's no different than raising kids when they get older. You can try to tell them what you think's best for them, but at the end of the day, they're going to do what they want.
Cicero Williams was afraid of her son-in-law, too. She died 2 months after Linda vanished, taking with her a substantial clue. On the night her daughter disappeared, John and his nephew had come in the house late. Now, remember, John and Linda are staying at Cicero's house.
Right.
So he comes home late. Both were covered in sweat, dirt, and their clothes and boots were muddy, super dirty. Yeah. According to relatives, Cicero kept the house immaculately clean. They said it was like eat off the floor clean. So she noticed the mess.
Well, yeah, because she just did the damn floors that day, and now they come clomping through there in boots. Yeah, you're going to see that.
But Cicero chalked it up to the fact that John worked in construction, so he did come home dirty from time to time, but this seemed excessively dirty.
And the time of day, too, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, late at night.
Late at night, you show up sweaty like you've been working. Yeah, it's covered in mud. I mean, come on.
Linda's mother would admit to law enforcement that her daughter's marriage had problems. A relative said, quote, she was afraid of John. He was crazy. John McCord reportedly moved out of Cicero's home the day the blue Lincoln was found.
Again, what the hell?
So his wife's missing. The Lincoln is found abandoned on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And he up and moves out of his mother-in-law's home.
And he showed up the evening before. Is that right? Covered in mud and sweat and dirt. And
Right.
yeah, late in the evening.
John told law enforcement officials that he arrived home from work on that Friday evening around 7:30 p.m. When Linda wasn't home, he went back out to check some cement he had poured earlier in the day. Afterwards, he went to Piggly Wiggly, where he drank some beer in the parking lot.
Ooh, that sounds like fun.
At 11 p.m., John arrived at Cicero's house, learning that his wife was still not back from the concert. Worried, he drove to Ridgefield, that's where Sarah lived, to look for Linda. After midnight, he returned to Harleyville. He then drove to Holly Hill, near Vance and Santee, to get gas. After filling up, John said he drove around all night looking for his wife. He finally went back to Cicero's home around 5 a.m. on Saturday, April 4th. Do you believe that?
I don't know. Well, I mean, I'm already wondering
but
about
the mother-in-law's like, no, he came home and he was covered in mud and sweaty.
Yeah. Well, I believe her over him. Because he scratches out people's faces in pictures, which I think is very strange behavior.
It's pretty strange behavior, yeah. Again, you said red flag. Total red flag. Man, that just seems very immature. And
well, that would worry me to know if I was, like I said, if I was dating someone new and I seen them having a behavior like this, I would be like, hold on a second. Like, are you crazy? Because I think that's extreme behavior.
Well, when you're telling law enforcement I was out driving around all night alone,
right?
I mean, that's not an alibi they can confirm.
Why aren't you coordinating with any of the family or friends? You know, I mean, that tells you something right there. If that is the kind of relationship you have with your wife and you don't communicate with any of her friends and family at all, that's yet again, that's not okay.
Both Linda and Sarah's families were adamant the women would not skip town or leave on their own accord. Cicero told The State, a news publication, quote, "I think something has happened to her. I am just hoping and praying she is still alive. This would not be like her just to leave. Linda wouldn't stay away from me for that long. We were very close." Though the search yielded few clues about the three missing persons, it did crack open a new case. While searching the Wells Crossroad area, a SLED pilot, which is the South Carolina Law Enforcement
Division,
yeah.
I'm guessing, or department.
Yeah.
I think it's division. That sounds better.
So a SLED pilot spotted 3 acres of marijuana with plants as high as 15 feet tall.
What?
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
The drugs had a street value of $20 million. It took authorities 4 days to chop down the plants and haul them away.
Wow.
3 brothers were charged with manufacturing and trafficking marijuana. Herman Marchant, John Marchant, known as Blackie, and Jim Marchant, known as Whitey.
Wait, there's a marijuana forest on my land?
So the Marchants...
That's crazy. I don't know anything about that marijuana forest. 15 feet tall.
What was that? 3 acres?
God, yeah, that's a bunch of plants, bud.
Herman, Blackie, and Whitey. they was growing the good stuff.
The Marchants.
Marchant.
Okay.
In May of 1987, a tip came in that the 2 women and little girl were buried near Dorchester Dragway. Authorities came up empty when searching that area. At the time, Sheriff Knight didn't believe the tipster was the killer, but felt they knew something was going on, like they were in the know.
Right.
Cicero Williams died on September 9th of 1987, never giving up hope that her daughter would be found. A break didn't come in the case until 1990. Someone tried to use Sarah Boyd's credit card at a nearby shopping mall. The signature on the receipt was illegible, but did not match the missing woman's handwriting. Unfortunately, the identity of the person trying to use the card was never discovered because this was a time when there were not the CCTV cameras.
So is this 3 years later somebody tried to use her damn credit card?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
At a local shopping mall.
That's odd.
It's very strange.
Wow, that was a big could have been a big opportunity right there. But like you said, there's not cameras everywhere, and what they did have back then were very, very low quality, you know. And for some reason, you still get the grainy videos.
And I was going to say, in 1990, was this a time when credit cards were even, were they even like linked to like computer systems?
No.
Or was this a time when they were still doing the swipe,
and you get like a carbon
copy
receipt, the pink, yellow, white deal? I think they were still.
I guess would make it a little easier to use fraudulent card or to be able to use a card fraudulently, maybe.
Yeah. Unless
the card had a expired, because it doesn't sound like they were actually able to make a purchase with the card. So that makes me think maybe it had an the expiration date had come and gone or something.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember that they put in that thing, they're like, and then, I guess they turn those receipts in.
Yeah, I don't even know what that process is called.
I didn't have no credit card back then.
I was 10
in 1990. We poor, ain't we? My mama didn't have no credit. Her
we
credit.
used to pour for credit.
We used to pour. She run my credit out, and once that was over,
Stupid.
I didn't even know I had no accounts. I'll have to tell you what. I'm just a 12-year-old little boy.
I think I ruined my credit when I was 11 with Columbia House.
Yeah. Oh, did you sign up yourself for
Those
that?
like 15 tapes for a penny.
Yeah, you get like 1 million tapes for one penny.
And you could just like tape or glue the penny to the card and send it back in.
How did they ever recover money?
And then they, would send you tapes, but you were supposed to like pay the next month or something.
Yeah,
and I was like a kid, so I never paid. I just had like a whole bunch of free cassette tapes. I got in trouble for that actually.
I want to know if they ever made money with that Columbia House, because everybody did that. They would do the one thing, they'd sign up for it, and it'd be like, basically nowadays it's like a 30-day free trial, if you will. And, they would send you like 5 tapes, or you could pick off. It was good music.
Dude, it was like more than that. It was like 15 tapes or some crazy.
For a penny?
It was like a whole bunch of, because I remember getting a stack of them. And then, like,
damn.
I can't remember if I think I had them sent to my grandma's house.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it was at her house, because she had like Parade magazine.
Well, she had all the mailers and everything. Yeah.
And then she was like, well, how are you supposed to pay for these? Because, I'm like 11. I'm like, I don't know. She was like, oh my gosh. And I remember kind of getting in trouble.
Did you get to keep the tapes?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so it was worth it. Sorry, Columbia House.
That's how I had Michael Jackson's Bad on tape.
Dude. Damn, that's a
Thanks,
score.
Columbia House. Yeah, so again, I think I ruined my credit at 11.
Yeah. Well, apparently I had like...
Because then they would get like letters like about you failed to pay your Columbia House bill.
Apparently I had phone bills and electricity.
Nice.
Yeah. I didn't even know.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I didn't think you could do that. Your social security number was...
I didn't do it.
For a 12-year-old, but
yeah,
they somehow let you have electricity in your name?
Yeah.
Huh. The 80s were a different time.
80s were a different time.
Okay.
Thanks.
So 3 years after the disappearances, Philip Boyd had to go through the painful process of having his wife and child declared dead. He told a newspaper in 2011, quote, "It's the worst thing that ever happened to me. A loving family vanished into thin air."
My gosh.
Philip eventually remarried and has a son, and he lives somewhere in the Low Country. Now, over the years, little information has come in regarding the missing women and girl. In 2019, a tip was received about a woman living in Memphis, Tennessee, who resembled Kimberly Boyd. Law enforcement was able to speak to the woman, who provided documentation proving that she was not, in fact, Kimberly Boyd. In May of 2020, the Orangeburg County Sheriff's Office received an anonymous tip that 3 bodies could be found under concrete work at a house in Santee. It was a house where John McCord had poured the cement, the concrete.
Oh my gosh.
The owner was renovating, and a demolition was scheduled for the home. Law enforcement was able to go in, dismantling the home, breaking up concrete, and sifting through dirt. Sadly, their remains were not recovered at the property. Ground-penetrating radar was also used in the search, so they really did kind of pull out all stops to search this property.
Yeah, that's amazing. After so much time had passed, so they were still working the case.
A child known as Christmas Doe was found in Waycross, Georgia in 1988, and a lot of people believe the composite, the little sketch that they drew of Christmas Doe resembled Kimberly Boyd. The child was concealed inside a duffel bag, placed in a suitcase, and further hidden in an old TV cabinet.
Damn.
So someone went to great lengths to hide this body. She was estimated to be somewhere between 3 to 4 years old, and they think she had died maybe 4 to 8 weeks before her body was found. The tip has been assigned to an investigator in South Carolina, but so far there's been no word on the child's identity or whether it was Kimberly Boyd. Because again, a lot of these departments don't have the funding.
No.
They don't have the resources, the money to allocate for this DNA testing because it can be very expensive. Or so they say.
It should be federally funded. Period.
Relatives of both women have opinions on the matter. So Linda McCord's relatives point to the fact that John was charged in the late 1980s with pointing a firearm at a person, which is a felony in South Carolina. In 1993, he was found guilty of assault and battery. Other family members say John McCord was creepy and exhibited weird behavior after Linda's disappearance. He would follow her female relatives around, like if they were driving in their car.
He'd see them.
Yeah, he would follow them, and they would see him like watching them, like standing on their property watching them.
Oh, God.
Like standing at a kitchen window and look out, and he'd be in the backyard just staring. That's weird, right?
Very.
One relative told a newspaper reporter that John McCord had tampered with a vehicle before and that he had messed with the freezer plug on the night in question so that the women would have engine trouble. Yet investigators could not substantiate that claim. Both families think there was a police cover-up involving Lieutenant Martin, who retired in 1997. Sheriff Ravenel, the current head of the department, said, quote, "Maybe they know something I don't. But he said that he always found Martin to be a professional who was consistent and good at his job."
So, what's unfortunately in a situation like this, you get a lot of rumor, hearsay in with what could actually be helpful tips, you know? And it sounds like they're doing their best to run down each and every one of them, you know? They're going through great lengths to try to get some answers.
Sarah Boyd's family thinks law enforcement did in fact find evidence at the razed Santee house in 2020, but that they're not sharing it. However, the sheriff's department stated they had 24-hour patrols of the property during the excavation, and they found no bodies or bones during the search.
Well, I feel for the family. I mean, this is terrible. 3 people gone just like that.
Just vanished.
But you know what? I always have to say when you have something, and a lot of times you have families saying, well, they're not doing enough, and then, you know, they're not telling us this, and then sometimes the investigators actually do have information they're not sharing for the integrity of the investigation or whatever. But what would be their motivation to not share that information?
Well, again, the family thinks there's some kind of cover-up.
Okay.
But
right, but I mean,
but this is like a new sheriff. I don't know. I don't know if I believe that.
Right. I just don't know why. I mean,
I think a lot of times when people are grieving,
yes,
they will kind of grasp for, you know, like a reason, like
exactly,
like they were hoping this search would, you know, yield some results, and when it didn't, they can't accept that.
Right.
And, you know, who knows how any of us would feel in that situation.
And again, I feel terrible for the family in situations like this and friends.
But Philip and John were both employed at the giant cement company in Harleyville. So they worked together.
Okay.
Which, you know, I mean, that's kind of an odd... If John McCord did do something, let's just say, I mean, because a lot of people are pointing the finger at him.
Well, he has strange behaviors. I mean, he's lots of red flags. I mean, let's be controlling, abuse.
He does seem
stalking.
to be one of the top suspects.
I mean, yeah, how could he not be?
It's very, I mean, for me, it would be very strange to work so closely with another person's spouse and then you knowing that you've done something to this man's wife and child.
Yeah.
Who just happened to like be along with your wife.
Right.
And have to work beside that person every day and not have some reaction. I mean, you'd have to be a psychopath, right?
I wouldn't be able to work or be around that person if I really thought that in my heart, that they did something to my, wife and kid.
And if you had done something to their wife and kid, how could you go face them every day at work? See them day in and day out, knowing what they're going through.
Yeah.
And just have no feelings or emotion. I mean, you'd have to be a psychopath, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's fucking evil. It's horrible. Philip has been called, quote, a great uncle and a great dad. He was always remorseful for his wife and child, and he still contacts law enforcement to seek new details about the case. Like even now, he calls and asks if there's been any new developments. I mean, this is a man who's never going to get over this.
No, you can't.
However, Dylan, John McCord died in 2018. So even if he is the number one suspect in the case, I mean, there's nothing that can be done now. And sadly, unless they are able to recover the remains of these 3 individuals,
Right.
that's a secret that could have gone to the grave with him.
Gosh, every time, you have it's been decades now, and you just now lately in recent years we've had some great cold cases get solved. Well, not great, but some great
Detective work.
Forensic work that has brought answers. So it's never too late. I mean, it's never too late.
It's not, but I mean, if he is responsible,
he can't be held to
then
account.
He cannot be held to account, exactly. So, there's no justice in that.
No.
But one thing investigators, because there were so many different departments working on this. I mean, you had the Dorchester, you had the was it the Orangeburg County? I mean, you had multiple agencies involved because of where the location of the car was, but the women went missing from another county. So, there were multiple agencies involved. But the one thing that all of the investigators from all of the agencies agree on is the theory that there had to be more than one person involved in the crime. Because if the 3 were murdered, it would take more than one person to dispose of 3 people in 3 graves, especially if it was within a short time frame of just a few hours. So, if John McCord was the prime suspect, they don't think he could have acted alone.
I agree with that. I mean, that's a lot to get done in a very short time if for one person.
And then be able to return back to Cicero's house. Even if it was at 5 a.m., that still just gives him a couple of hours.
Well, and also controlling multiple adults and things when the situation's actually happening. So, I mean, that would be tricky as well. So.
And there were reports, again, that the nephew was at the house with him, but they've been unable, law enforcement tried to follow up on that lead, but they were unable to discover who that relative might have been, exactly which nephew it could have been. No one was talking.
Gosh, these are some of the worst kinds of cases, I think, just because it makes me feel so bad for the family.
Yes.
And that hole's there, and it'll never be okay. And I guess people say it gets a little bit easier, but just it's something you deal with daily.
Well, and the Boyd family talked about how Sarah tried for many years to conceive a child. And when she was finally able to have Kimberly, she was just ecstatic to be a mom, and that they were inseparable, went everywhere together. Probably one of the reasons why when Linda invited Sarah to go to the concert, she said, well, I got to bring Kimberly along.
Right.
Because that was her mini-me.
Yeah.
And Kimberly was described as a little beauty pageant queen. And she is a really cute little girl and always just dressed impeccably with her little hair done and smiling. And just looked like such a happy, sweet little girl.
It makes it even more sad.
It is very sad.
Wow.
So we don't know. We don't know what happened to these 3. But I do find, and I'm not saying the Marchands had anything to do with it, but it is kind of interesting that there was this massive marijuana field right by where the car broke down. And, back then especially... when people would stumble upon these kinds of things, it often did not end well for them. Makes me wonder if when the ladies broke down, maybe they tried to get help and happened to see something they weren't supposed to see.
Well, yeah, I actually didn't even think about that, but that's quite possible because they're just looking for help, and next thing you know, they've found this very large amount of marijuana growing, So, yeah. That's actually a good thought.
Yeah, or, I mean, who knows? Maybe they just encountered someone on the road, but it does seem, I guess, strange, or a strange coincidence, that as they were driving home from the concert, a pastor and his wife say, well, we saw this car following them very closely.
Yeah.
They have car trouble, and then they vanish.
I don't know. It's I don't know what to think.
So
but
were they targeted by a stranger? Did Mr. McCord have something to do with it? Or was it just a random coincidence that this car happened to be following them closely and now they vanished? I mean, I want answers.
it's a strange case.
It's a very strange case.
3 people going missing at once like that is kind of very odd. I don't know that I have heard of that. There was that one mother with the 2 daughters who went on the boat ride with the monster. But it's odd. It's very odd for that many people to go missing at once and to never be seen again and never have any answers.
So I understand why law enforcement has that theory that there had to be more than one person involved.
Yeah. That makes sense.
You know, if the 3 did meet foul play, that there had to be more than one person to be able to control the situation, dispose of the bodies in this short period of time. Because it was, probably, well, if they're talking about McCord, then it was just a couple hour window. But, I mean, who knows? Because they could have been taken somewhere and kept longer. I mean, again, we just don't know.
No. I'd never heard this story, though. Thank you for...
Right. Well, I felt like it was important to shine some light on this case because it is older and, is not really out there in the media so much. And I would just like to see these families, I get some answers.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, my gosh. I'm so sad. Now, you was talking about how cute and beautiful that little girl was and how excited her mom and dad were to conceive her and have the little baby. And then they found the other little Christmas dough. The poor little baby was body's hidden away like that.
I mean, who can do that?
God, I don't know, man.
What kind of monster can do that to a child?
Just don't know. And then wrap them up like a freaking...
in a duffel bag, in a suitcase, and then
Jesus.
in an old TV cabinet and just discard them.
I don't know.
In some remote area, just dump them like trash. I mean, what a monster.
I don't understand why people do this to other humans.
Damn demons.
Yeah, low frequency beings for sure. Okay.
Well, Dylan, let's wrap it up. We will be back with our midweek, we promise. And it's time to get a Patreon episode out there for our Patreon folks. And if you've ever thought about subscribing to Patreon, joining us, it's a great time to do that. It helps us keep the podcast going, but you also get to access extra content, ad-free episodes.
Our Discord chat.
You
do what Beth did. She's smart. She was a sponsor of today's show.
She supported us.
And we can say your name over and over during an episode.
And we've still got that merch store. You got to check out the link. I'm going to drop it in today's show notes. We've had quite a few folks taking advantage of our new merch store, Dylan, buying stickers and mugs and shirts and sending us photos. And like, these shirts look super high quality. The mugs are really cute. Like they're nice. They're dishwasher safe. They're all the things you want a mug to be.
You can put liquids in them. Yeah, thanks. Discord Renee got some really great swag. She made some great choices. And she put up pictures of her stuff had just arrived. And it looked so great. Great choices, Renee.
Yeah, and we've kept the prices affordable for folks because we know, I mean, despite what the president says, maybe the economy's not so great right now.
It's hard out there.
It's hard out here for a pimp and for podcasters and for regular folks.
So, we did have the little ones here, and I went and grabbed a few things I don't typically buy anymore. And I'm just like, how are people doing this? Everywhere I turned was a $5 bill. Bottle of juice, $5. I mean, it's like, what? I've spent $50, $60 and I got like
one bag.
One bag.
Yeah, I know.
And that wasn't even buying dinners.
Yeah, I know.
Don't get me started. Oh my gosh. So all right, keep your head up.
On a swivel.
Watch
and
out.
Up. Up and on a swivel.
Wow.
I want you to be able to look around. I want you to be able to sit and look.
Yeah, but look all the way around.
But with your chin up.
With your chin up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the sunshine can hit your beautiful face.
That's right.
All right.
Because we love you here at Mountain Murders.
All right. Bye, Dylan.
Bye, Heather.